Behave yourself.
All right, for anyone watching, we're just finishing getting set up really quick, trying to get the link live on riverdayspace.com. So give us 2 seconds. We're trying some new software. If I can get this stupid thing to work. So everyone should be able to see us now. Everyone should be able to hear us.
Yeah.
So let's see.
What's different than it did yesterday? Oh, because I was watching it yesterday.
What's up?
Put your headset on.
I will keep the headset on in just a moment.
Your audio is pretty good, actually, without it.
That's because I got the expensive Macintosh that I don't know how to use. Headset on in just a moment. Good.
Man, I feel out of place. I don't have my RDP hat today.
I'm going to have to send you a whole bunch of stuff here, Alexi. One of these days, we're getting ready to load up again for the boat show and for Desert Storm and all that.
Nice. How's the weather out there now today?
It is perfect. It is absolutely.
Yeah, it just stopped raining here.
I got the garage door open. I got all this stuff going on. It's good. Oops. What am I doing here?
Oh,
we are live.
I am sending the link to you, Dave, right now.
How are you doing that? Here, I got it. Share, copy, link.
I am sending.
Oops. Turn that down. Put that up here. River Days Place. What? That like my big old iPad?
I guess that's what happens once you get old, right?
Yes, yes. Yes, it is.
You can use an iPad for life. Depends on what for, right?
Yep. Okay. Boats and hose. Live.
Jake, move your left a little bit.
Me?
Jake, there you go. You're off center.
Oh, because on the split screen thing, I'm dead middle. So.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to one way or another.
You're in charge.
Not really. Alright, so while Dave is loading it to River Dave's place, Alexi's getting ready to go for an airplane ride. We'll do a quick little intro. We worked on this software last night, and we think it works good. So I guess we'll need some feedback at the end of this thing. One of the things that we're kind of trying to figure out is we're still in the testing stages of it if we want to keep using this software. But it gives us the capability for boats and shows brought to you by River Dave's Place and Boost Power Marine. It gives us the capability for all three of us to get on the screen at the same time. So, Dave and Alexi, what are we going to talk about tonight?
What Alexis
What?
Whatever you guys feel like. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I don't know if we should let Alexi start, going off of our conversation last night.
That'd be a bad idea. I got a couple really good ones. I'm thinking Dave had a good suggestion earlier today about maybe kind of going through what each one of us has been doing and why we evolved together as three on this, and just kind of, I don't know, just let people know what it is that we're doing, why, and how. So maybe we'll start out with you, Jake, because it's your the boats and shows thing is awesome, and it's something that you started, and we all kind of just grouped together from all that energy.
Well, I mean, the biggest. What were you saying, Dave?
Where have you been?
Yeah, where have I been? Well, first off, a lot of people don't know this about me, but it's dune season. And with dune season brings, Alexi will constantly make fun of me for being an off-road guy. I'm not an off-road guy or a boat guy first, but it's dune season, and now we're getting into summer. We're getting into Havasu Boat Show and Desert Storm. which we're really gearing up for that with Boats and Shows and the live podcast format. I really, Alexi and Dave, for those that don't know, they've been like my driving force in this whole thing. Dave would call me and be like, dude, what the hell are you doing with your life? Like, you should be doing this. And then Alexi would call me an hour later and say, hey, I talked to Dave. What the hell are you going to do with this? I'm doing my shows. Why don't you get your shit together? So it's that's what I've been doing. I was excited when Dave kind of decided for me that he wanted to move this show to the YouTube live format for a lot of really good reasons, which we're going to get into tonight. And we're hoping that it's going to make it more consistent. It's going to make it easy for us to get some big name guests on the show, and also to just to keep it rolling with a steady format. That's what I've been doing, is listening to Dave tell me how big of an idiot I am for not doing this every week.
And me telling you how slow your internet is.
And yes, and wondering how to upgrade my internet.
We need to boost up the internet speed with some supercharge.
So, Jake, just out of curiosity, are you monitoring the comments on Facebook? Because I can only look at my forum and a couple other things at the same time. It's a lot.
Yeah, I can. Let me see. Yeah, we can monitor the comments on Facebook with this new software. It's just that's another thing we're trying to figure out is so me being the kind of the host of this, is how do we monitor all this stuff? So I'm getting there now.
Perfect. I'll just watch my forum. I'll take care of anybody who got a question on my
Alexi, you just sit there and look good.
So long story short, Jake did the Boats and Shows thing. He got plagued with, I don't know what the hell's going on with that Facebook problem that he's got, but there's some problem with his account where every time he tried to launch that thing, the audio would get all weird and get messed up, and Alexi was resetting cameras, and we tried probably 12 different times to fix that, to do tests, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason as to why it is happening. So I pressured Jake pretty hard to get away from Zuckerberg's website anyways and go on to YouTube, and so at least we can share it on actual RDP so the RDP members can watch it live. Plus, we can save it on the YouTube channels later and replay it like Alexi does with his tech stuff. And now we're here. So this is the first one, and it's we're going to have some fun with it. Alexi, as you can tell, is doing the Jake impression there, and I might have to do some of that myself there.
Hey, I got to make sure I got a microphone on to make sure Jake doesn't get mad at me. Otherwise, I go raw without this.
Mine's just for show, though. It doesn't work out, right?
Yeah, well, hey, mine works awesome. Check it out.
What Alexi doesn't know is...
I got the adapter. I got the adapter plugged into the phone here. You can see it.
What Alexi doesn't know is that after our little test last night, I have a mute button for him. So if you ever see in this show, if you ever see Alexi where his mouth's moving but you can't hear anything, that's what's going on.
After last night, that's probably a welcome future if I had to guess. I got to pull out of hand quickly.
Hey, don't be scared of my reality show, right?
I liked it. I thought it was great. Jake got a little scared about it, but I was laughing. I thought it was funny. From what I remember, I don't know. I was still hungover from our warm-up last night.
All right, so it's your turn, Dave. Tell us about how the RDP and Jake and we all got going for your watchers there.
Well, I met Jake through the Dirty Dooner. Well, not through the Dirty Dooner show, through Boats and Shows. I saw the one that he did with Tom Lee, and I thought it was fantastic. And I said, dude, I want to be a part of this. And so I offered to sponsor his show, and I basically title sponsored it way out in advance to make sure that that was locked up. I got that's a fair assessment. But in the meantime, he's come out to the river. We hung out at the boat show. We came out and ran around my hallett a little bit, got the families together and doing some other stuff. But now that it seems, anyways, that his smoke signals and thank you, baby. His smoke signal friggin' Morse code internet's finally seeming to work, where it's not bogging down every 2 seconds. It looks like we might have our technology issues solved through some third-party software that we don't have to use Zuckerberg anymore. So as you guys are watching this, it is actually going, I believe, through your phone, Jake, or something. It's going to something, but it's going through a third-party software, and it's exporting out into YouTube Live, which is on RDP. It's exporting out onto Facebook on multiple pages, I'm assuming. I don't know that, but I would assume that it's on our group page and Boats and Shows and Alexi's tech pages and also his media pages. You got more pages than you know what to do with, but so it's kind of exciting that that's all happening, and now we're on multiple formats, and it's also exciting that we have 3 people here and the ability to add up to I believe 10. Not that we'd ever do that, but we could actually have an additional guest. Yeah, right. That'd be kind of a cluster. But as things progress and we start having some guests on here, I'm sure Alexi's going to have some of his customers that may want to talk about his boats, things like that. We can actually add a guest, and we simplified the process so you don't have to be a Facebook ninja to do it. As a matter of fact, we got it down so simple now. You literally just answer a phone call, and here you go. So that is very cool. It's a big hurdle that has finally passed us, and that's about that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So and I think Alexi's going to be starting to do his tech pages, his tech Tuesdays, I guess it is.
So normally we've done Tuesdays. Gosh, it's been almost, I think, 3 years now since we started our Boost Power TV. And, that kind of evolved from I used to get questions and answers, and I still do all the time, but for the magazine, and I would write the replies. And, it was frustrating because the people wanted the answer right away, and it would take 2 or 3 months to get a magazine in front of them for them to see it. So that worked out, and, that's still cool and a great format. But I kind of took some of the questions, because you can't reply to all of them each month, and I decided to do it in a video. And some of the topics are what we witness and deal with every day. So I figured, I have this stuff here. These are good questions. Why not show the product, talk about the question, and stimulate other people to ask more questions, and just have like a, open discussion, a follow-up on the next one, and, something like not for profit, like just information, entertainment, interaction with the industry people, and also the vendors. The vendors sometimes will give us a part and say, look, talk about this widget, or, talk about this good or bad bearing, or whatever you want to talk about. We got so much stuff in this building. And if you combine the question with the products that are available here, it turns out to get really good feedback for us. And, I don't know, we get anywhere from 50 to 150 watchers live. And then, gosh, within a day or two, it's over 15,000. So somebody's watching it. And a lot of people review it. They go to YouTube and watch it again. And, we're just trying to be real about what we see and share that with people that are do-it-yourselfers, or people that might be underpaying, or overpaying for some process with their boat, Sandcar, whatever engine they got. So I've been trying to stick with Tuesdays, but, with all the fires and all the stuff going on through the holidays, we were like sporadically doing it. And then once in a while, we do our little quick tech deal where we'll just come on for a couple minutes just to show something, just to keep other formats going with tech. So, that's kind of what we're doing. And with this show, what we're trying to do is just kind of talk about all sorts of different things. And, we kind of have 3 different angles to all the performance areas. And it gives the viewers an opportunity to ask multiple questions about whether it's industry politics, trends, boat types, driving, what happened when you drove this, drove that. You got a lot of information that we can provide people and have fun with it. So we want to have fun with it, keep it simple.
Well, speaking, you said earlier, somebody's got to be watching. This is, I don't know if you can see that, but that's your ugly mug on a big TV over at William Cook's house right now.
Hey, what do you know,
Several places in Havasu right now where people are kicking back, drinking beers, and watching this on big screen.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, and I think the kind of the point of this show tonight is, Dave's had some really good ideas. Dave and Alexi have had some really good ideas, like that there's space for boats, and there's space to talk tech, there's space to talk, general events, current events. And so I think our announcement tonight, as far as Alexi's show, Dave and Alexi's show, and my show, is that you guys are going to get 3 nights in a row where you're going to get boat talk.
Freaking people are talking smack on my text messages right now. Tom's saying I'm sleeping. Turn that off. But yeah, no, there's a lot of cool things coming up. There's a lot of cool things happening in the immediate future. One of the things is the Lake Havasu Boat Show is right around the corner, and immediately following that, RDP is bringing back its boat tests for the first time in 3 years, and Alexi will be driving the boats. Trace Martin will be driving the boats, and Bob Brown. That's the on the water test team, and I'm going to have a couple of dry land guys to go over the outside and rigging and things of that nature while they're testing the boats. I talked to Jim Nakashima today, and everybody does it at Nautical. At least in the past, they've always done it at the Nautical. That's kind of the spot, and that's kind of boring, man. I wanted to switch it up, so we're going to do it up at Pirates. So Alexi just found that out, and I'm working on getting their cabins that they have up there to have those for the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for us to crash in. So we just wake up in the morning, go test some boats, and in the evening, you got food services right there, Topak right across the river, and it's going to be an interesting and fun boat test situation, and it'll give the manufacturers a chance to they can either drive the boats up from Havasu itself or they can trailer up to Pirates. But I think if I was a manufacturer and I never get to get up to the river, I'd probably use that time to have a little time in my own boat to run it up there, So,
yeah, it should be a good format. I mean, the bottom line is, as a consumer, and I'm sure you'll get feedback on your forum, but it's nice to have multiple opinions about one product, whether it's a sand car, boat, motorcycle. Having only one review, or 2 or 3 reviews, it's nice to get as many as you can because the consumer can deduce from that what their opinion is and how they value what it is they're about to buy or, have already. So, I mean, like someone might talk more about the interior than, say, the technical part of the engine in one entity. And, we may talk about something or they may talk about something we don't elaborate on. So for the consumer, having another place to test and, review photos, just other angles, it's good for the industry in general.
mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of excited just to be obviously a part of that. And, keep things going for the industry. It also helps us, communicate with people and good or bad, whatever it is.
So one of the big things about the RDP tests is they're honest, which is not taking shots at anybody, but generally speaking in this industry, everybody knows that it's the ad dollars generally dictate the test results, at the end of the day. And I don't do that. I probably should. I'd probably make a lot more money, but I don't do that. We always maintain that we try. If the boat hops, the boat hops, man. If the boat runs good, the boat runs good, And we try to focus on actual handling characteristics, and we try to make the articles to the point of if you remove the pictures, you can actually tell what kind of boat you'd be in. Where some of these articles, literally, you can't tell. If you remove the photos, you wouldn't know what it was.
Not only that, it's not all about how fast the boat goes.
No,
I mean it's like 1/10% of what they do with the boat. It's like, is it sturdy in rough water? Is it built well? Does it have enough bulkheads? Does it shake? Does it porpoise? I mean, these are the things that I feel as though the public should know about a boat, and good or bad. And maybe that'll also stimulate some of the manufacturers to pre-test some of their boats and perfect them even better for the consumer. I mean, usually they're really good, but there has been some that, maybe not so much.
yeah. Right.
But I'll leave that part up to you.
I talked to Lee at Chiata today, and I got him pretty convinced to bring a 21 RC with a turbo motor in it. He said to have you bring out yours, and I said, well, that's kind of weird to test your own boat,
Wow, just bring a third-party one.
Yeah.
Brad Schoenwald says, are you guys going to have a shitbox award?
Yes, absolutely. Is Brad coming out to it? He wins.
Only if you come and drive with us.
Yeah. I like old Brad.
Come on, Brad.
One of the biggest questions we're getting on Facebook Live right now is, what's on the chopping block for boat testing, or can you announce that?
What do you mean by on the chopping block?
I mean, what's going to be the first couple ones that you're doing as far as boat testing?
In terms of type of boats? Or in terms of...
manufacturer, type of boat? Do you have a model in mind?
No, I mean the invites to the manufacturers are actually going out on Monday, I believe, and so a lot of it gives the manufacturers about 5-6 weeks to decide what they're bringing. I know Eliminator's committed; they're coming. They're going to probably bring an outboard Daytona, and I believe they're going to bring a fun deck. Nordic's here in Havasu, and I couldn't, obviously my relationship with Nordic is strong, so I would be very, very surprised if they didn't bring at least 2 or 3 boats with them. I would love to see the Baron come up. I mean, that boat's very polarizing. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, but I haven't seen really any real data of how it runs yet, and I'm dying to find out. And so I think Jerry's coming out. So there's quite a few people. Howard, obviously, they'll be up there, and part of the reason why I picked that date for the boat tests. Obviously, again, Bob Brown is a friend of mine, and I try to support his Lake Havasu boat show as much as I can. And so a lot of the manufacturers were kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to do that boat show this year or not. Like even in Eliminator's case, and I was like, Jake, you got to do the Havasu boat show. And he's like, why? And I said, we're doing the boat tests right after. We haven't done them in 3 years. A lot of people are already talking about it. And I said, you'd be very remiss not to show up to that. And if you're coming all the way out here anyways, exhibit at the boat show. So it's helping them. And Bob, Bob's going to need a little bit of recovery time after the boat show because he's very, very busy leading up to that and during it. But we're going to try to run them right into the boat test starting on Monday. So, yeah, it's cool. As far as chopping block, I don't know what the answer is to that question. But, there's got to be quite a few manufacturers coming out to it. I know Cobra Boats, for example. I've talked to Hernando and Jeff over there. And one of the big things that has held them up from actually advertising on RDP is they just don't have any real modern aerial photography for all this stuff. So this is an opportunity that if they come to that boat show, we can get the aerial photography we need to enhance their marketing programs, not only for themselves but for RDP, and then test the boats while we're at it. So pretty cool stuff.
So now we're getting people on Facebook that are saying they didn't see that question. So for anyone that's saying they didn't see that question, that's because I reworded it. So thanks. Glad you didn't see the question. So
haters gonna hate, Jake. You just gotta get used to it.
All good.
What kind of media is going to be out there to follow the boat show? Video, picture, where is it going to be hosted? Where can people find it?
For media?
Yeah.
Typically at the boat show, I'll run around and just take pictures of the boats. I don't go crazy like the LA boat show and do the boat show report where you're climbing through every boat. I mean, that boat show is in the middle of January, and I'm still working on that boat show report. Matter of fact, this Saturday and Sunday, my plan is to try to bang out another 10 or 12 reviews on that boat show report. It's like a never-ending thing. And we've probably done, 20 or 30 boats in that boat show report already, and I got another 40 or so to go because I went through even some wakeboard boats and stuff like that just to try to mix it up a little bit. But as far as the Havasu boat show, I usually just run around and take some pictures. Last year I had Todd Taylor take my drone and do a quick drone video of the boat show. I don't do as much media there as I do at the other ones, which I probably should, but I don't, because that boat show for us is honestly, I mean, Jake, you went to it. It's all a Havasu who comes out to it, so we see all of our members. We're hanging out in the booth the whole time, and Stacy and Heather from Safe Glow, they're doing their Bloody Mary program. It's not like for us, it's a fun boat show. It's not like Die Hard, let's cover this. It's more hanging out with the members. It's more
a bit of social.
It's really social. I've been begging Alexi to bring Boost Power back out to it. I mean, years and years ago, Alexi brought Boost Power to that, and then also they were coming out to Desert Storm, and they're always somewhere around RDP. But it's badass to see these big quad rotor motors, and he's got a big, I don't know what you call it, toter home or something like that, but he's got a big badass rig he brings out, and so what are the odds I can tell you?
We bring one of our trailers out there. We like the Havasu boat show. It's just that it was so close to Desert Storm and a couple of the other shows that we did that we just decided we got to pick one because we do some automotive stuff too, and it just was conflicting. This year they have the date right for Desert Storm for us, so we're returning to it.
Oh, you're coming back to Desert Storm?
Yeah, we're going to do Desert Storm this year because there was a Rockabilly show. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's like an auto show in Vegas. And last year it was on the same date, so we had already committed to it prior to us knowing about the date change. So, we just basically picked one, and it worked out great. But this year we're going to try Desert Storm again. It's all good. I mean, look, if we could be there to shake hands with our clients, friends, and industry folks, we're good with it. And we always bring a handful of motors or products out just to let people see whatever's new or old that's refreshed or whatever to see. It's kind of fun, you know?
Very cool.
Not only that, you have the music playing right across the street from me, so it's perfect.
Yeah, actually, I do the big stage thing every year, and Christina asked me this year. She does that Eye of the Storm thing up on the grass now. I don't know if you've seen that or not because she started it last year. But anyhow, she asked me, she wants to do a Battle of the Bands thing. And Jason at Boom Band, it's just like really the most legit stage in Havasu. And it's ungodly expensive to bring anything else out of Vegas. So she asked me, she goes, Dave, can I use the stage this year? I talked to Jason. I said, Jason, it's fine. We won't do it this year. So she's going to do a Battle of the Bands up at the Eye of the Storm deal. And I'm bringing a 42 MTI that'll be in my booth and kind of blocking the street along with a matching, whatever the sport chassis is, going to be in front of that. And that's my buddy Mike DeMoores. It's Spring Break Racing. And it's got a pretty gnarly stereo on it, but that's going to be our source of music for the day. I actually just found out late yesterday I was talking to Justin at Positive Trim, which actually he'd be a good guest on your show, Jake. You should bring him on here. But I was talking to Justin at Positive Trim, and he tried to send in his street party stuff, and they're sold out. They have no more room anywhere. And unfortunately, I was going to told him, I was like, dude, I'd let you on my street, but I got this, I laid it out. I got this 42 MTI, I got a sport chassis thing, I got my toy hauler where we load and unload all of our clothing, and then other, that's where the other beers come out of it, so like that, right? And on the other side of that, I got Safe Glow with Robert and Heather, and then we have this a new thing called Naughty Shine, which is a new performance boat cleaner.
Riley's watching. Riley's watching right now.
Is he watching? Well, there you go, Riley.
There you go, Riley.
Right. And so anyhow, we got that, and then my buddy Danny Creighton down in Parker, which is a completely side deal, but I sponsor a lot of his. He does a local gym that keeps kids out of trouble. Like kids that get into drugs and stuff. They go to his gym and they learn how to MMA fight to have better hobbies than doing drugs and stuff like that. So I sponsor his gym, and I sponsor a lot of his fighters for the Cage Rage and stuff like that. Well, he got his daughter into drag racing imports, and anyhow, she's doing really well with it. But he asked me if he could put his daughter's car in my booth at Desert Storm, and I said yes. And unfortunately, I talked to Justin like literally 2 hours after I said yes to that. So I don't know if there's going to be enough room or not. I got to go down and walk it all off and measure it. But if there is enough room, Justin, I'll let you in there. But if there isn't, I wish I'd have known, But yeah, it's a weird deal. Desert Storm.
It's tight down there.
Well, my street's not as big as everybody thinks it is. I was going to bring the kicker rig in the one time. They got this huge rig, it's a friggin' awning, and I measured it out, and I was like, dude, this rig would take up the whole goddamn street. And by the time they put the awning out, I was like, I'm going to be out on the curb out in front.
We gotta dodge trees getting the rig in there. I mean,
yeah,
but it's all good. I mean, we set up and pretty quick, and most of the guys, they've all done the show so many times, and it usually goes smooth. But I had deja vu with all this rain that we had here in the past 2 weeks, and I was thinking, we got rained on Desert Storm 2 or 3 times, and every time I put my little gas-powered backpack blower in the trailer, it never rained. So make sure you guys do that to keep that rain away.
When it rained a few years back, that was when I first got my big 10x20 Easy Ups, and I remember my booth literally had 60 people standing inside of it.
Right.
And we had a generator running under there, and Tom had his phone in, and some idiot knocked his phone into a puddle of water. He's all pissed off about it for a couple of days. But yeah, no, it's Desert Storm.
Yeah, April showers.
Yeah, Desert Storm is huge this year. I can tell you that. Christina has really, really stepped it up on her social media thing. And there was a lot, in fair disclosure, there was a lot of people wondering if she was going to pull this thing off or not, if she took it over. But this year, she already sold out the street space. She's got dock space, I think, is almost sold out already.
Yeah, so she seems like she's cool. She's on it.
She's doing well, So hats off to her.
So what are we doing as far as live media from Desert Storm this year? Putting you on the spot.
Actually, Jake, I haven't talked to you about it yet, but I wanted to talk to you to see if we can get any kind of internet up at Pirates during my boat test. I wanted to do some of that. Possibly have you come out if you can take off time of Raleigh White and just kind of talk a little bit about what's going on, talk to some of the manufacturers live, see what they think of it all, and see what their thought processes are. But yeah, Desert Storm this year for sure. we have to do it. I mean, I want to.
If anything, we'll do a recorded show there, but our rig has a MiFi in it or whatever. We could try.
No, there you go.
So River Dave has an easy up, and you have a toter home. So we'll figure it out.
Guess who wins that argument, right?
Everybody always asks, why do you bring the toter home? You know, it's so big, and you're only bringing a 28-foot trailer, and I laugh. He said, the reason is I don't want to walk to a bathroom. That's the only reason I bring that truck.
You know the reason why I bought my 23-foot toy hauler? That is the only reason I said that was.
I want to eat my sandwich and I want to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Other than that, I can bring our regular Duramax and tow that trailer.
You
That's for our 40-footers that we almost never bring there.
That's literally the exact reason why I bought that toy hauler.
Yeah. So yes, I'm weird. It's all good.
No,
So are you though?
I'm excited for Desert Storm. I last year I was just thinking like last year for boats and shows that I hadn't even put this idea of doing these these live shows towards the boat industry, and I think boats and shows and RDP and Boost Power, I think all of us as far as live content, I think it's really going to bring a lot of attention to Desert Storm this year.
Yeah, well, RDP. Back when Jim ran it, we were one of his primary promoters. For Jim Nichols, he would send me stuff and I would get it out there. Or, every year there's thread after thread of countdown to Desert Storm, who's coming to Desert Storm parties, which we could talk about that as well. There's all sorts of stuff that Desert Storm is kind of the hub, man. It's the biggest event that we have out here, and going around the country to some of these different events, is interesting, and seeing the scale that some of these things do. But I love Desert Storm. It's in our backyard, and I love the event itself, and I'm glad that it's moving up. And I did one live broadcast. Well, I think we did it twice actually. Me and my buddy Rich, we did it, and you want to talk about some weird stuff. And back in the day, technology. Rich had like connections at the city and this, other than that. He had like up on the telephone pole with these little boxes with antennas.
I remember that.
You remember that? We had to do all.
You guys had like a scissor lift or something with an antenna on it.
There was a stack of equipment. I shit you not. It was probably 5 feet tall. It was like $100,000 worth of equipment that was required to broadcast off his news camera and all that stuff.
And now you can buy a $99 cell phone to do it.
Yeah. we did a couple of live shows back in the day, but with Jake doing it this year, this would probably be the first, RDP live anyways, and Boost Power as well, but live anything from the actual street fair. I'd like to do it in my booth just so we can get some of the members coming up and interview some of them and talk about the, Desert Storm itself, their experiences and what they're looking forward to and, shit like that. But Lexi's going to win out with his damn toter home. So.
Hey, it's my bathroom.
Yeah.
Alexi, what do you bring into Desert Storm?
We don't know yet. We usually just kind of walk through our shop and pick 4 to 6 motors, roll them in the trailer, and go. But we're going to try to bring out a few different items today. Not today, but we were looking at them today. But we're trying to pick something that is not so much power. It's more realistic for, say, that segment to be interested in. Maybe an LS motor, some short blocks that we have for people that just want to do a quick swap. And obviously some other big stuff, but we're trying to bring different items and more, computer fuel injection type things to, we want to change the concentration every year if we can. So we show different things of what we do, even though usually people ask. So that's what I'm going to bring.
What's that guy that had that 32? His name's Kevin, I think it is.
Yeah, Kevin Croner.
Does he still have it?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell him to bring it out?
He usually brings it out and uses it all week before. He's not much into the shows. I get it. Some people don't want to. A lot of our customers, they're not into having people climbing in and out of their boats. And, it's just kind of been that way for us for a long time.
The Lee's coming this year? Cheyenne actually booked the Desert Storm booth.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
I know all about it.
He's bringing the 43, I believe, and I don't know what else he's bringing, but I know he's bringing the 43. So.
Yeah, he's going to bring the silver 43, maybe a couple other boats, and then we're going to have Matt's 24 in our booth with the compound motor. These people could see that. Beautiful boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. It's really cool because it's so low. It looks stock from the outside, and it's just blistering fast. But we'll let the owner talk about all that.
Yeah, every time you talk about any kind of speeds, everybody says you're faking the funk.
Oh, yeah.
You put the GPS on the video. They still don't.
It's all fake. That's why I never post anything with GPS since day one I've ever had a camera. And I did it once just to prove that people would pretty much say anything, but it's all good. I don't care. Bring your boat and run next to me. That's all I can
How do you trick a GPS? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. You bring an image from somewhere else maybe and paste it.
I actually had somebody call me and tell me, they're like, "Oh no, he had it basically like CGI. He made that." And I was like, I just don't see Alexi spending the time.
Who has the time? And the best part, you know what the best part? Let's talk about that. The best part is that's not even that fast. For me, to me, that's like it should be faster, right? And it can go faster, and it has gone faster. I'm not done yet with that boat.
Don't kill yourself in that boat. 130 is fast enough.
You can if you don't inch up on it. You got to do little increments, and it's been about 5 years.
Yeah. So yeah. So in our list of our talking session here, I did want to say a couple of things about RDP. I don't know how many of you guys have been seeing the newsletters that we've been popping them out. We got another one coming out. It'll either come out tomorrow evening or the Friday morning, and it'll launch for. It'll come out then, and then people will probably see it on Monday when they get to work or whatnot. But we've been trying to maintain a lot of consistency with that. Eric Briner's been running that for me, so I'm pretty stoked on that. I have a girl in Florida. She's doing some writing for RDP now. Her name's Dina Rella. She's extremely talented. She worked for another publication for a few years, and she's come on board with us. She's also going to help me with a second website that I'm doing called Luxury Center Consoles. I'm hoping to get that going, but that's going to take a serious amount of money, as it turns out. And so in the meantime, I'm probably just going to use that as an Instagram page until I can get all the things together and get enough content together to launch it properly instead of trying to do it one at a time. But we started construction today, as a matter of fact. I tried to do my classifieds. I wanted a real deal classified system, kind of a blend between Boat Trader and some of the other ones out there, with some features on it that nobody else has, and I'll talk about that later. But I finally got a team of coders together that is, I took 3 or 4 stabs at this, and I always come up short, and it's not that I don't do it. The guys get halfway through it, and they, there's always something. They get halfway through it, and they say, we can't do this one thing that you want. And it turns out it's like the only thing that I want, right? So I'm like, oh, fuck it, So we start over again, and I got a team of guys together that are actually part of the team that coded the software for RDP. They're actually part of the Zen 4.0 team. And so they assured me 100% integration. They assured me 100% that when that software upgrades, they're actually the people writing the upgraded software to that. So they assured me that this would upgrade with it, so I don't have to redo it all in a year or whatnot. And they told me 6 to 8 weeks and, $7,000, but 6 to 8 weeks, we will have real deal classified. So I'm excited about that. Just got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Looking on doing a different style of advertising I did it 5 or 6 years ago, and we're going to try to do that again, but that's going to be a ways out as well. It's ridiculously expensive to do what I want to do. But once it's done, we'll be the only website to have it again, so that'll be cool. So that's my little RDP announcements for today.
So what's the point of Luxury Center Consoles?
Luxury Center Consoles, honestly, from a market standpoint, RDP is Riverday's place, and I grew up going to Parker, and now I live in Havasu, right? And I've, not to sound like an asshole, but I got this area pretty well covered, and just like anything in life, there's the thing of diminishing returns, right? If I really, really worked my ass off, I could probably double my advertising, and the amount of work involved in that would be just insane, right? Now, RDP is a lot bigger than a lot of people think it is. It's and actually, I can show you. I got it right here. I just had it on my iPad the other day because I was showing Joe Road from. You know what? I don't have it on here. Sure. Anyhow, I was showing Joe Road that the other day. But anyhow, it's RDP was 2 years ago was one of the larger, basically, websites and forums out there. We were running 54 to 56,000 EPs a month, and that was in 2017. And that's a pretty sizable forum for a boat forum. I don't know what people's analytics look like because nobody has the nuts to put them out there. I do all the time. Actually, I post them on my forum all the time, but I don't care. But in 2017 to 2018, the explosion of social media over the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of these forums have shrunk up and died, and a lot of them are struggling with a lot of problems. From 2017, June and July, to 2018, June and July, we went from 54,973 to 104,000 something. So we basically doubled in size in 12 months. And, the way that happens is obviously through using the right guys and a lot of SEO and things like that. But, we're growing. But my problem is even though it's a big forum like that, it's still River Dave's place. And when you go talk to Randy Sizzo at MTI, they just, nobody gets it, man. They just don't care. I don't care how many times I can tell them, like, hey, dude, it's 100,000+ people. It's a stadium. You can't tell me that if we wheeled, I don't care what kind of boat, in the middle of a 50-yard line of a football game, there isn't 3 guys in that stadium that doesn't want to buy it today. But everybody gets stuck on that name, River. They don't realize.
It's like I always tell people, if you're a consumer or a vendor, you're looking at every magazine, every forum, everything out there. So it's all relevant. But you might prioritize one versus the other based on your interests and that website's focus. So if you're focusing, say, on center console or V-drive boats or whatever, then you're going to get those guys kind of more often going to your type of deal. But the bottom line is a lot of these guys have multiple types of boats.
Oh, yeah.
So there is relevance because a V-drive guy might have an MTI.
Look at Spring Break Racing.
We know a handful of them.
Exactly. He's got a DCB and an MTI. I guess he's selling the DCB right now, but he's going to get he actually talked to me the other day asking me about how much these 21 Chiatas are. Believe it or not, he wants one for garage art. But, to get back to what I was saying is, we're a performance boat industry website. And, actually one of my original ad campaigns was home of the marine industry on the web. And I still stick to that, if you go on there, you'll see Boost Power posts on there. You'll see Tony from DCB posts on there, a lot of the manufacturers participate in it, and it's a great gig, but it's performance boating. And I'm stuck in performance boating. Like when you go and you look at even wakeboard boats, right? Or pontoon boats, performance boating is like less than 5% of the boating market. And we're doing as good as we can. And there's always room for improvement. Don't get me wrong. I just talked to Randy Cena, Steak and Lobster for people on RDP, about selling advertising for me. So he's going to go out and start doing that. And obviously, we're bringing more and more employees in. So I can't, try to do everything myself because I keep dropping balls. But we're kind of maxed out where we're at. You know what I mean? We can only go so far being a Lake Havasu and Parker dedicated, performance boating website. When I go to Miami and I go to the Miami Boat Show, which is, if you guys have never done that, that is a true bucket list. Like for a boater, that is the most amazing boat show you will ever go to. And it's mind blowing. But even you go to Miami, right? And there's thousands of boats there. And I mean, you could literally count up, 40, maybe 45, 50, like true down performance boats, right? I couldn't even pretend to tell you how many center consoles were there. And if I just focus even on the luxury center consoles, the Mystics, the Statements, the Norte.
It's really popular down there.
Those things are it's unbelievable.
That's like East Coast deck boats.
It's exactly what it is. And I still firmly believe it's coming this way. And I still firmly believe that whoever builds a 33-ish, 36-ish, 10.5-foot beam, twin and triple configuration with a real, with a couple of real shade options, not just the T-top, but some actual shade option there, I think they're going to be real hard pressed.
Sensation Boys have a really nice one in that smaller configuration. I really like their boat, and there's a handful of other brands, but I always told them that would be a good market out west.
Well, it's cool because you can take it with an F-150 or an F-250 if it's a 28 or if it's a 33 or whatever. If it's a 250, you can go to Catalina, and then you can go to Havasu, and then you can go to Powell, and if the water gets big, you're not in a 28-foot deck boat that looks like a shovel. I see the functionality of them. The only thing that they haven't figured out is, we do a lot of beaching out here. Everybody beaches and they jump off. They want to party at the sandbars. They want to party at the channel. And there's just no freaking good way of getting in those things. And I mean, I've thrown out some different ideas to some manufacturers that are, I think, pretty simple, to
make. Just put a narrow walkway.
Even the dive doors, like the dive doors, they have an opening this way. Well, some of them actually flip out and go into the water as kind of a ladder. If you did a dive door,
do a hinged stove, like something that like opens to the right or left, so they can walk through and get out. Someone will do it.
Yeah. So I know Nordic
was watching this show will end up doing it.
Yeah. Right. Well, Jerry Barron, supposedly that's what he's looking at next after he's Barron's. I know they're doing they got their 290. They're coming out with, I believe, a 25-foot version of that. But, in his original press releases, he was saying center consoles. And I think that would be a very wise move for him to do. I really do. I think if he does it, if he doesn't make the styling so polarizing, but if he does it and he does a West Coast center console and he adds some kind of West Coast features to it, you know what I mean? I think he could really do well. So, at West Coast features, and somebody's going to ask, I just meant like a real shade, for some reason.
So the lights and the speaker boxes.
They all have that in Miami as well. I mean, honestly, they got so much bling over there, it's ridiculous, But that's the Miami Boat Show, to conclude that it's the most impressive thing I've ever been to. And anybody that says I'm wrong on the center console market, go to Miami. It's eye opening. Everybody has one.
That's all there is.
When you drive around town, you go by these junk trailer mobile home things, and they got a $250,000 center console sitting next to them. Like, everybody has them. It's like you get off the plane and they're like, "Would you like a center console, sir?"
Yeah, a lot of guys will have a center console, and then they get out in their 40-foot catamaran and go hot rod around. We're out here. You might go to the river and get in your V-drive boat, go zip around, and then get back in your deck boat. So,
that's it's kind of interesting like that. But I think it's the future. I really do. But
Alexi,
yes.
So is there a market for you with center consoles? Being that a lot of them are outboards.
Yeah, actually, so we've been playing around with the Verado outboards for quite some time, but obviously we don't have that many clients that have them out here in our network, right? But eventually we will start marketing our ported supercharger, our program for the EFI, and pulley kit for them when they start coming out of warranty. Now, some of them, obviously, a lot of them are already. And then eventually when we get a 300 in here, we'll start doing the same thing. Same kind of concept as, like, we already have stuff for the big 1350s and the Merc engines, but not as many of them out west yet. So a lot of those guys are stuck on the program of sending them to Mercury. But, a lot of times a boat will get sold, it's out of warranty, and a person wants to do something different, and we'll fall into that. But to answer that is, we still do, we have a whole service program here for those kind of things as well. But we are working on outboard upgrades. And I think probably by January of this next year, we'll have like a pamphlet and a description of what those items are. But, I'm really adamant on perfecting everything and having a kit with the proper logos on it and the finishes. I don't want to send it out with, say, a non-anodized pulley or something like that. So it's going to take – we had a huge – I'll be honest with you. We had a huge setback of about 3 months with all the fires and situations around Thousand Oaks. So it put us back on a lot of programs. You were asking me about that Tesla boat we were working on, the electric boat. We halted that program until just recently, and now we're trying to get that back going because, again, we got set back, and it wasn't the first priority with everything else we had going on. So we'll be back caught up here. We got some extra help back in here to help us get caught up. But we're still focusing on going forward with all the projects that we got going on.
Well, I think we're almost at an hour now. I think we've covered a lot. I think we might need to do a part 2 of kicking off season 2 of Boats and Shows again next week, because I think there's still a lot of questions that that we haven't really been able to answer. And we could go another hour. I'm sure it'll cut us off at some point.
Hit a couple of the questions, Jake.
I'll just
what's going on in the Dirty Dooner world?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Really?
I'm just over here, Alexi, itching my armpits.
There you go. But you always do that left one, huh?
Well, so this is from David
let's-
Stone. He says, I think a warranty on motors is the next step in the market. I know David Stone's had some heartburn lately with some motors. Is there any chance that people are going to warranty motors?
I don't know. All I know is if you have an EPA or CARB-approved motor, you must have a written warranty and a pamphlet. So we have that sorted out for our program. I know Mercury does, and some other manufacturers. So yeah, there's warranties. But basically, in English, I always say just stand behind your product, whoever it is. If you don't, you're going to find out about it. I mean, we've all been on the other end of that, right?
Yeah.
And us as a company, we made mistakes just because of personality conflicts. We didn't want to help someone because they came at us the wrong way, even if it was our cracked oil pan or whatever it might have been. Something happened. So it's all about communication, right? And just getting along, figuring it out, and working our way through it. You know, smaller engine builders aren't Fortune 500 companies, so they're going to have certain things to implement. And larger companies, they have programs in order, but the service might be slower because you got to go to this guy, and all of a sudden that guy doesn't specialize in that motor, but they'll warranty it, but your boat will be sitting for 7 months. So you as a consumer have to decide what works for you too. It's all part of it. It's the whole, I always tell people it's how you handle it when things go wrong is who you are.
Yeah.
But I'm also a violator of that based on how people come at us over 30 years, So it just depends, right? And we're not perfect, and neither is anybody else on the other end. So it's like getting along with people, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I got drug over the coals on that guy's deal a little bit. I don't even know why, but
Which guy?
That David Stone guy, the Boat Outlaws.
Oh, yeah.
They were dragging me over.
I think he's trying to perfect his V10 situation. I mean, I don't blame him. If you want to make it right, you got to really fight for it, right?
Yeah, I felt, honestly, he towed that thing all the way out to Lake of the Ozarks. What was it, last year? I think, and it blew up while he was out there. I felt horrible for him. That's a long friggin' tow and a lot of money just in fuel and hotels and all that shit just to go out there and have your vacation kind of go to hell like that,
Yeah. But I mean, high performance stuff, and depending on how the use is and the intervals, you got to expect it, right? It's just, if your car has 950,000 miles on it, you're going to lose an alternator somewhere. Something's going to happen.
Talk about my Howlet that way, buddy.
Your Howlet just burns oil. You're good.
Keep running it.
Dave, why does it smoke when you start it?
I don't know, buddy, because Alexi hasn't fixed it yet. That's what I said.
Yeah, I thought
every time I start
barbecue when you started last.
You know what? I'm gonna go get myself a big giant boost power sticker and stick it on the side of that goddamn boat. I'm just gonna sit there on the channel and start it over and over again. It's all my motors. I'm like,
do that.
Power build them. They said it's normal.
It's normal. It's lubrication.
Yeah, so it's that upper cylinder lube. Isn't that what they call that?
Actually, that's what it is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so any other questions?
Let's see. Well, you got the typical Chris Greiner questions. Does Dave even boat anymore?
Dave boats. Yes, I do.
Does Chris Greiner boat?
He actually twin engine boats too. He's not just a single engine guy anymore. He's a twin engine guy.
I just finally got my just for Chris here. I just finally got my Ranger back together. The other day, I had that guy you recommended, AJ from AJ Motorsports, one of the mobile guy. He came over and got it back on the ground for me, and it's got a bit of an issue, so it's going back over to Jason and Morphic. They're gonna rebuild the whole front end, re-weld all that stuff, and as soon as this Ranger is out of this garage, my shot head is coming out, and I'm gonna wash it, kind of do what I do. I'm not the detail to your standard,
motor.
My little detail, and then I'm gonna go run it a little bit, and hopefully
motor.
do something with it here. I don't know if we're gonna freshen that one or we're gonna up the horsepower a little bit, or if we get my dream come true, which would be 550 to 600 horsepower LS motor. So it's either that or fucking I'm selling everything. I got to make some changes here. Either I'm going to sell everything and go get a big center console, or I'm going to take the things I got and trick them out to where I'm like happy with them, and
pretty much you're ready for 3 small blocks.
Oh Jesus, yeah, I know. And it's
fine.
It's $10,000 a whack to freshen them, isn't it? Isn't that all right?
I don't know. Jake's gonna buy it for you.
That's
after we get him a new internet.
All right. He was delaying again a little bit ago. I don't know if you saw that.
I can't see it on my end. It's something with your guys' computer.
No, it's all good. It's been good on my end.
Sorry my internet's not the equivalent to a toter home. We're just talking about like a 21-foot toy hauler.
Hey.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. I went on your Boats and Shows podcast on my phone here, and I saw that Gene Ferris said he wanted to see me running his CNCs at his shop. Just to clarify, Gene, while I did run a CNC shop, I actually don't program myself. When I did before RDP was I ran a thing was just Johnson Machine Works or behind the 8 Machine Works, and we did weapons for the government. And what I found out a long time ago is there's a lot of CNC shops that are very talented, but they are not very good at paperwork. And when you get into aerospace stuff, there's a lot of paperwork, right? Everything from material search to inspection reports to
certifications.
There's a stack of shit this thick on an actual flight part, right? And so what I was doing was kind of being a middleman in terms of I had a lot of connections in the weapon industry over at Aerosystems and some other stuff, and I would get the CAD files from them, machine most of the stuff that I could, which was actually a surprising amount, manually, and I would sub everything else CNC. But I would track everything. I would actually supply the materials to the guys. Most of them, Roy, I didn't have to, but some of the other shops I did. Roy is Get Real Performance, just so we're clear on what we're talking about. But they would machine all the shit. I would then bring parts back to my shop. I had big inspection machines and all this other stuff, and do all the inspection reports, make sure all the threads mate, make sure all the stuff, test fit it, then drop it off over there. So that was kind of my role in that. I actually do not run CNC machines, just to clarify that. Nothing to do with the show, but I just saw it on there. Figured
I can write your CNC for you if anybody needs it.
I'm sure now.
My kids how to do it now.
I'm sure nowadays with the programs that are available and 3D modeling that's available, it's literally not that difficult to model.
Yeah, no, it's gotten easier. It used to be all SolidWorks. You know, we use SolidWorks and Autodesk and all those, but there's some like online ones that are, you know, if you ever want to, the watchers, viewers, whatever, if you guys ever want to dabble around, there's one called Tinkercad. It works pretty cool. It's made by Autodesk. And you can go it has like basic designs. You can create something. And then if you have one of those 3D printers or a little CNC machine, you can make a small part. It's kind of fun. That's what I'm teaching my kids on.
Mm-hmm. I have a Bridgeport and a big Moroseki lathe in my garage, a big dual bandsaw. It's all manual stuff.
That's fun.
I'll come out here and machine stuff manually all the time, you know, but we don't have CNC here. But Roy at Get Real Performance moved to Havasu. He's got 2 5th axes. He's got all this shit, and he's retired. So literally, if I wanted to go over there and have, you know, make stuff with Roy, you know, he's kind of winding down his business right now just to have that stuff to basically play with. You know, that's all it's for.
Yeah, Roy's a good guy.
Roy's a really good guy. He actually he's done a lot for me in my life, and I really appreciate him, not only as a friend but in business. So
yeah, he always comes and visits us up at Lake Nacimiento when he's out that way.
There are some good people in this industry, even though there's a lot of us too, you know.
I like them all.
Yeah, right. So that's it. Any other good questions there, Jake?
No, I think I'm gonna go back through these questions, and like I said, let's plan on a part 2 next week.
Sounds good.
There are some good ones that I want to put kind of a more of a spin on, because I think they could go really in depth. One of the questions is, and I don't want you to answer it right now, but me and Alexi have talked about this, is kind of how social media, me and Dave have talked about this a lot too. We're going to talk next week about how social media plays a huge part, but doesn't play a huge part in this industry or in any industry, you know, and I think that's something we could, so with this new software, I'm really happy about. We have it has the opportunity to integrate videos and pictures into it. So maybe that's something we could kind of mess around with next week too, is talk about a topic and throw some videos and pictures in with the show as well. So thank you guys for coming on. Thanks for doing this with me.
All right. Not a problem. I look forward to it next week.
Thanks for
good. Thank you.
Pushing my shit and pushing me to new levels. So
not a problem. Now we got the technology solved. You can go forth and spread your wings, right?
That's right.
All right.
All right, let's end this.
You guys